Hello everyone, welcome to this lecture series on destructive testing. So in the previous video, we discussed about eddy current testing. What is eddy current testing? What is eddy currents? How it is formed? What are its properties and all? Now we're going to be discussing about in detail about the principles of eddy current testing. As we already discussed, for eddy currents to be formed, we need an alternating current source. So for eddy current testing in practical applications, we are using an AC current of the frequency between 1 kilohertz and 2 megahertz. That is a frequency range. And this alternating current is made to flow in a coil. This leads to the formation of a magnetic field, an alternating magnetic field with increasing and decreasing strength. And material, we are introducing another conductive material, the material that is to be tested. We will be bringing it to the vicinity of this alternating magnetic field. So when we are bringing it to the alternating magnetic field, eddy currents are formed on the surface. Eddy currents, actually, as we discussed, they form closed circular loops, and these eddy currents leads to the formation of a secondary magnetic field. This is actually known as electromagnetic induction. The secondary magnetic field will actually oppose the primary magnetic field. The test specimen that we are going to use, that is actually the conducting material that we are going to introduce. And as discussed before, eddy currents are introduced in the material due to electromagnetic induction. These eddy currents are generally parallel to the coil winding, right? These eddy currents are actually parallel to the coil winding. So if there are at all any defects that are occurring on the surface, or if there are any the surface or subsurface defects, they will affect the flow of the eddy currents. That is, the flow of eddy currents will be disturbed. This can be detected in the form of signals, electrical signals, which can be measured using external devices. This is how we can use eddy current testing to find defects. Now, this is actually the working principle. This is the primary conductor that you are using. We have an AC source, and we have a display device, and the AC source is used. This AC source is used to power a conductor. Alternating current of high frequency is passed through. As a result, magnetic field is generated. This is the surface where the defects we have to find out. So this surface is introduced into the primary magnetic field, in the vicinity of the primary magnetic field. So eddy currents are produced using the right hand rule. We can see if the current is actually forming in a closed loop, then the secondary the secondary magnetic field will actually be perpendicular to the eddy currents. So this is in this direction. So the secondary or the induced magnetic field is actually opposing the primary magnetic field. This is actually the principle. So when we have eddy currents developing on the surface, this actually should have been shown on the surface. So when eddy currents are formed on the surface, and actually if there are any if there are any cracks on the surfaces, then the closed loop will actually be disturbed. This disturbance in the closed loop of eddy currents can be measured, and we can find the presence of the defect. And also, as we have seen, as the depth increases, the strength of the eddy currents are also decreasing, that we have discussed before. So we need to use higher, that is why we are using higher frequency alternating current, so that the eddy currents will have better penetration into the surface. Now, what are the aspects of eddy current testing? Actually, the main factors that influence eddy current testing are the conductivity of the materials, the permeability, magnetic permeability of both the materials, the frequency of the alternating current that is used, the resistivity of the material, the inductance of the material, the inductive reactance of the material, impedance developed by the material, the current that is passing through, and the EMF, the electromotive force. All these factors actually influence eddy current testing. So the accuracy of eddy current testing method depends on all these factors. Now, what is known as a lift-off effect? Actually, lift-off is actually the distance between the surface coil and the test surface. The surface coil is actually the primary source of magnetic field, and the test specimen, the distance between both of them is known as proximity or the liftoff. Now, as we discussed before, the eddy current flux density is actually decreases exponentially with distance from the test coil. That is, as the distance from the test coil increases, the flux density actually it is decreasing exponentially. So we need to control actually the distance between the surface coil and the test surface. So the amount of lift or the separation has a significant effect on the sensitivity resistivity. So when we decrease the distance between the surface coil and the test specimen, what will happen is the lift off tendency, that is you are decreasing the lift off distance, so you'll get more accurate results. And also the noise due to probe nobles when encircling coils are used, that is actually what this means is that when the probes are introduced, what will happen is light and noises are produced. The noise is actually the variation in the signals, right? So the lift off is actually is an equivalent to something called fill factor. That fill factor we'll be discussing. So lift off is actually or lift off effect is actually an important factor that controls the accuracy of the testing method. Now, edge effect, right? Edge effect is actually what is happening is you are introducing the electrical so-called eddy currents into the surface. So when it is closer towards the edges, as you can see at the edges, there will be a sudden variation in the area or the cross section of the material. So when eddy currents are more concentrated towards the edges, what it will affect is that because of the area change, because of the area change that is occurring at the edges, the loops are disturbed. That is, the eddy current loops that are formed are actually disturbed. So at the edges, we can get a result, an erroneous result because of the area change. So the this is what is called an edge effect. So what you do is that the probe or the primary probe that you are using will be concentrating it more away from the edges, because when you are concentrating more towards the edges, because of the area change, the looped structure of the eddy currents are affected. As a result of which we get defect, but actually there is no such defect because it is the end surface. So a false defect is actually identified. So edge effect can actually be reduced when the inspection coil is more concentrated towards the surface and it is away from the edges, right? So we limit the inspection near the edges. Now what you call is as fill factor. Fill factor is actually an important criteria. It is actually the ratio of the cross sectional area of the test piece and the area of the coil section. So we can identify it as a formula: diameter of the test piece divided by diameter of the coil, the whole square. The factor is that the fill factor, the value should be almost close to unity, which means the coil wire should be as close as possible to the test piece. That is, we discussed previously, right? We have discussed previously about the lift off effect. So this is equivalent to a fill factor. The lift off height should be as minimum as possible, and the fill factor should be close to unity. So the condition where it is satisfied is that the coil wire, when it is as close towards the test piece, we get better response to crack, the lift off distance is reduced, and the fill factor will reach the value unity. So this is the condition for fill factor. This factor clearly affects the performance of eddy current testing. Okay, and the end effect is also there. End effect, as you know, it is similar to the edge effect. The end effect is common for cylindrical parts, right? At the edges, there will be area changes. So this area changes will be identified as false defect due to the measurements. So again, we will limit it to the surface, and the inspection is actually carried more closer towards the surface and away from the edges as possible. Now, what are the applications? Applications of ECT. And the different applications of ECT are: first one, we can find discontinuities or surface breaking cracks. Second one, conductivity measurement, tube inspections, and thickness measurements. First one, we'll go for crack detection. Crack detection is one of the primary uses of eddy current testing. Actually, we know that eddy currents are produced as closed circular loops, and this is the specimen where we need to find the cracks that are present. So as per our principles, eddy currents are produced on the surface. Now if at all there are any cracks, that is as shown in the figure, right? You can see here that a crack is being formed. Because of the crack, the closed loop structure is being affected. This can be detected by the use of signal detectors. Signal detectors are used. They can be connected to CRT tubes, and actually we can find the variation in the signals, right? So the change in strength of the eddy currents can be measured, and we can find the location of the cracks. This is how simply a crack is found out. That is, if at all any cracks are existing, then the the eddy current density will vary because of the presence. That is, because of the loop is affected, the eddy current density will vary. This density variation can be measured. That is how we can find the crack locations. Then second one is a conductivity measurement, right? For conductivity measurement, we are actually the change in the impedance coil. That is, for any material, even magnetic or non-magnetic, there is a change in impedance of the coil. That change in impedance is actually correlated directly to the conductivity of the material. That is, by using experimental correlation methods, the conductivity of a certain material can be related to the change in impedance of the coil. So we can measure the change in impedance of the coil and then directly find out whether the conductivity of the material is correct or not, right? We can also compare the conductivity of the different materials. The value of electrical conductivity, we are finding actually the electrical conductivity here. The electrical conductivity of material depends on several factors. This is, you know it, because that is, it depends on chemical composition, the stress state of its crystalline structure. So again, for finding the information, what we do is we find the change in impedance of the coil, and we have an experimental correlation that's currently beyond the topic that we are discussing here. So the conductivity of the material is actually can be found out using that correlation, which depends on the change in impedance of the coil. So by measuring the change in impedance, we can find the conductivity of the material. This is the second type. And then we go for material thickness measurement. The thickness measurements are also possible with eddy current inspection within certain limitations, because as you know, as the depth increases, the strength of the eddy currents are decreasing. So we have a limitation in finding the thickness. Only a certain amount of eddy currents can form in a given volume of material. So if the material is more thicker, it can support more eddy currents than thinner materials. But the issue is it is difficult to find out the thickness because the eddy current strength is decreasing. The strength of the eddy currents actually can be measured. That is, we are using here, as you can show in the figure, there you are using two different thickness materials, and the strength of the eddy current material, the strength of the eddy currents can be measured and can be correlated based on the thickness of the material. As mentioned before, while finding the thermal conductivity, we detailed about the correlation that is being used, that connects the change in impedance to the conductivity. Here again, we can also find an experimental correlation that connects the material thickness to the change in strength of the eddy currents. The change in strength of the eddy currents can be detected by using different probes. So the change in density or the change in current density of the eddy currents can be measured and can be related to the material thickness. This is actually an indirect form of measurement, right? Thermal conductivity and material conductivity or material thickness can be found out as indirect measuring methods. Now, we can also find out the extent of the non-conductive coating that is placed on a surface, right? That is, if you have a surface and you have a conducting base material, and above it we are making a coating, we can find out the thickness of this coating also by using eddy current testing. As mentioned before, the coating thickness again can be made as a correlation. We can find a correlation for coating thickness to the strength of the eddy currents. So the coating actually displaces the eddy current probe from the conducting base material. That is, more the thickness, more the lift off distance is actually increasing, right? So that is, when you have a non-conductive material that is being present here, the actually the eddy current probe that we are using is again displaced from the surface, and when it is displaced from the surface in the upward direction, the strength of the eddy currents are reducing, right? We can find the strength, as mentioned before, the strength or the variation in the magnitude of the eddy currents can be found out, and this can be empirically be related to the coating thickness. That is, coating thickness will be a function of the change in strength of the eddy current. So we can find the change in the strength of the eddy current, and then we can easily find the coating thickness that we are using. This is again another method. We are using two different eddy current materials. Actually, we have two different thickness materials. Two eddy current probes are being used. Non-conductive coating thickness we can find out easily using a correlation method. Now, this is actually the practical case. That is, you have the probe actually shows an aircraft panel. This is the aircraft panel. It has a paint thickness on it, right? We need to find the thickness of the paint. So we are using an eddy current probe here, and the display is shown on the screen. So on the right, you have the display of the digital eddy current inspection instrument that shows different signals that are obtained when you are placing it at different locations, 8 different thickness of paint on aluminum, right? So this actually shows the different signals obtained by measuring 8 different thicknesses of paints. That is, we have different thickness paints here. So 8 different thickness, the reading is shown. So this is again an indirect method to find the thickness of non-conducting materials. Now, now move on to the advantages and disadvantages of ECT. The advantage is that, right, we can list out all the advantages here. That is, the first advantage that we can go for is that it is sensitive to small cracks and other defects. Then we can find defects near the surface and subsurface defects. Inspection will give you immediate results. Equipment is portable, you can take it anywhere. The method can be used for much more than flow detection. You can find it. You can find the material thickness. You can find the coating on the surface, thickness of the coating on the surface. Even find the conductivity, electrical conductivity. Minimum part preparation is required. Not much cleaning is needed. Test probe does not need to contact the part. Then inspects complex shapes and sizes. We can use different sizes and even complex shapes can be used. Now we move on to the limitations. The one of the major limitations is that only non-conductive materials, right? Only non-conductive materials can be inspected. The surface must be accessible to the probe, right? That is, we have to place the probe on the surface, so that must be done. Skill and training is required. Is more than the other techniques. That is, we require more skill and training to do this technique compared to the other ones. The surface finish and roughness may interfere, right? The surface finish and roughness may play a factor in this method. Reference standards are needed for setup. The depth of penetration is limited because the current is exponentially decreasing. Flows such as delamination that lie parallel to the probe coil on at the probe can scan direction are undetectable. That is, you have certain delaminations that are actually parallel to the probe coil. So parallel to the probe coil, we cannot find it. They are undetectable. These are actually the main limitations that are used. Okay, so the limitations are associated were discussed. We come to the end of this topic. Thank you.